My name is John Fanous. I'm the pastor of University Covenant Church in Davis, California, where Professor Charles Hunt is one of our members and a friend, and I'm so excited to talk to him about the book that he is releasing. So tell us about yourself. Who are you and what are you up to these days?
Well, these days I work at the University of California at Davis as a professor of engineering. I'm a grandfather now, so that's sort of changed my family profile. My wife of 43 years, who I love very much, we live together and we sort of hunker down together.
What prompted you to write this book?
Well, that's easy. My youngest daughter, Lila, who is quite a storyteller, she got her degree in linguistics. I was talking to her about some story and she goes, "Dad, you need to write these things down," because I have 6 kids and all of us have the story differently. So one of the people that I really admire is J.P. Moreland at Biola University, and we bumped into each other. So I sat with him for over an hour, and he asked me what I was up to. I told him about writing this for my kids, and he said, "Tell me more about this," and I told him more. And then he said, "I don't think that's for your kids." Well, yes, it's for your kids, but I think a bigger deal is it's for the church.
What do you hope people will gain through reading the book? You started talking about that. What are you hoping God will do through the book for the church?
I think that by things such as what I talk about in this book happening to me personally, and I don't think they're any different that really would happen to anybody that's a believer in Jesus, but sometimes we don't realize that these things are miracles. We get sort of jaded and think if, I prayed for this incurable person to get healed and they got healed, and then when they get healed you go, isn't that cool? They don't stop and go, wow, God heard my prayer. God did the impossible, and they sort of walk away from it. And so I'm hoping that by reading this book they'll start going, He's watching.
Yeah.
He's watching, and He's part of my life.
What would you say to people who are hungry for a deeper experience with Jesus, where they get to experience His presence and the miracles that He brings with Him? What would you want for people who feel that hunger right now?
Talk to Him expecting. My friend Rod Jones, if he taught me anything, in fact, that was the thing that impressed me most, is he just said, I was talking to God. And I was like, you were talking to God? Don't people have to have a ceremony, or don't you have to have a prayer book? Or, that was sort of my thinking that I was raised with. And I thought, he was like, no, God's everywhere. He's right here. And I was talking to Him. And the other thing is, if you're not sure it's really God, when we read the Gospels, we get to know Jesus. And Jesus was a human. He was a brother. He was a friend. And if you read the Gospels and think of yourself as somebody in the crowd, then you start seeing Him as He is.
I think that's huge right there. It's good. Yeah. Yep.
If you see Him as He is, then when He speaks to you, you go, I recognize what He's saying. I recognize it. And Jesus even said that. He said, my sheep hear my voice.
Your definition of miracle is broad enough to encompass the miraculous healing that no one can explain, the angel who shows up to, thank goodness this person was here at this time telling me this, and that is all of God. And just for you to connect those dots and remember those and put those on paper.
I think the gentlest chapter in the whole book is how Noma died. It's only a couple paragraphs long. And every time I think about that story, in fact, when I was editing and rereading it, it just made me cry. Just made me cry. And I just thought, this is such an example of God miraculously coming and taking her home. It was so, wow. They're supposed to be examples.
Yeah.
I don't want people thinking of it as my autobiography. It's more just, let me give you some examples of things that I've experienced. Yeah. And it's not like you'll experience, I think everybody else will have their own long laundry list of things that they've experienced. And I think they already do. Mm-hmm. And I think if they sat down and thought about it, they'd go, oh, wow, I remember when this, and this. And they go, I never thought of it.
That was my other thought after I read this is, I know God's done things in my life. I should just stop. I can do what Charlie did and write them down because, because I forget them.
Yeah, yeah.
There's something about writing them down that remind, oh, God has done these things. So very powerful. So anyway, thank you very much, Charlie.
Well, thank you for
a blessing
talking to me
so
about
many
it.
people.
I'm really glad you liked the book.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah,
Super
yeah.
good.